Hey guys, hope you're having a great Friday. I just want to give you a quick review and a couple of announcements before you go into the weekend. Um, or if you get this on Monday, that's fine too. So I went through exam 2 and added feedback. Sorry it took me a while. I was trying to figure out what kind of feedback to give. If you have feedback on feedback, I'm interested in knowing what you want to know. I really can't give details specific because, well, I'm happy to go over your exam with you. If any of you are wanting to look over your exam, just sign up for time slots. And there are some time slots open on the sign up sheet for after exam 3. So if you want to go over exam 3, sign up here. If you want to look at your exam, you might need 2 time slots. If these times don't work for you, shoot me a note and we'll schedule another time. I'm also happy to add more times. So yeah, just let me know. And the other thing I wanted to show you before I go into my PowerPoint is for Module 7, and for anybody who's struggling at all or just wanting to really make sure you get the details, there is this cool, awesome resource right here within your course materials. So if you click on the table of contents, Module 7, or whatever module it is, and then click download the study guide, you will be able to download a study guide that you can fill out and turn this in as your notes. I've considered having this be the required notes, but then again, some things are working for some of you and I don't want to interfere with that. But if you're struggling, this will really help focus your reading. As you're going through the reading, this will help you know what to look for and what to focus on, and help you process the material and think through it in a way that will help prepare you for the exams. So again, I can't emphasize that enough. Study guides, super helpful. Please take the time to label and get to know this image and this image. This will help you immensely on the exam. So, all right, let's get into the PowerPoint. Hope you guys are having a good Friday. All right, let's duplicate that. Hopefully that'll work. All right, so I'm just going to go through a few things for Module 6. I'm going to go kind of quickly. You have all the material, all the detail. I just am going to point out a few things to focus on in your studies. And then on Monday night, well, let's do this first, and then I'll do the spiritual thought. So Monday night, we'll do a review focusing on 7.3 muscle contraction, but I'll also kind of just touch on some of the other parts of 7 that are important. This exam, let's shoot for a 75. I think we can do it as a class. I think we can. Just make sure that you're studying every day. Every day, spend a little time reviewing old stuff and learning new stuff. And if you're reviewing constantly as you go, you'll be more prepared for the final. And on that note, the final is 200 points. It's cumulative. There will be 50 questions from the whole semester and 50 from the last 2 modules. So hold out to the end. This is a marathon, not a quick dash. And there are lots of points left. So if you're not happy with your first 2 exam scores, there are still a lot of points left, and these exams make a huge difference. All right, off my soapbox. Test 3 opens Wednesday and closes Thursday. Do not start it at the end, like right close to 11 o'clock. So a lot of times there's a lot of people trying to submit. Things can go wrong. So give yourself time, plenty of time to take the test, and plenty of time to finish well before 11. Let's see. Some people had questions with Proctorio. If it asks you for a password, there are some steps that you can follow within the course material. You should not need a password. And then we always have the extra credit conferences going on. Those are just signing up for those visits, those quick visits. I just want to check in, see how things are going, and see what's going well, what can be improved. Or if you want to use that time to go over an exam, awesome. Use that time counted as your extra credit. And on the note of extra credit, there are a few extra credits opportunities going on in the extra credit discussion board. So you can also keep tabs on that. So I wanted to share this thought with you. My parents had like a family council with us as adult children and shared this, and I was so touched by the specific and beautiful blessings that President Benson shared. So men and women who turn their lives over to God will find that he can make a lot more out of their lives than they can. And here are the beautiful blessings. He will deepen their joys, expand their vision, quicken their minds. Wouldn't that be helpful for these classes that you're taking? Strengthen their muscles, lift their spirits, multiply their blessings, increase their opportunities, comfort their souls, raise up friends, and pour out peace. Anyway, I love that. There's always a spiritual side to everything that we do, and certainly blessings are involved when we're following the promptings that we've been given. So, all right. Kind of already showed you this. This is an awesome student example of notes. You can totally just turn in these for your notes for Module 7, or you can turn in the whole study guide, or you can keep doing what you've been doing. But I would highly recommend that you spend time with these images. Be able to even sketch this out from memory. This one especially, there will be questions on the exam like the one on the quiz. If a bullet was shot through, which layers would it go through first? Those kinds of questions. And then this one, you're just absolutely going to need to know backwards and forwards. I'll tell you that right now. All right, the nervous system. So this is just what we're going to hit tonight, just Module 6, the nervous system. The central nervous system is the brain and spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system is basically everything else, our sensory receptors, our nerves. And here is this chart to be super familiar with. The central nervous system, like we said, brain and spinal cord. And then we have input coming. So sensory afferent neurons bring input to the brain and spinal cord, and then we send messages out to do something about that input that comes in. So the autonomic neurons are going to communicate with our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems, and enteric, which is like the nervous system of the gut. And then we'll also have somatic motor neurons, which this is what we can control. This stuff happens automatically, as the name implies. All right, efferent, or the motor division. Somatic nervous system is voluntary, like picking up a pencil, playing the piano. These are things that we think about. The autonomic nervous system, these are involuntary. We don't have to think about digesting our lunch or having our heart beat or sweating, things like that. The sympathetic, this is our fight or flight, hence the grizzly picture. Parasympathetic, this is going to be our rest and digest. All right, neurons. So we've got the bipolar neuron with a single dendrite, the multipolar neuron, lots of dendrites, and just a single axon. These are going to be our motor neurons mostly, and then we have the unipolar neurons right here. All right, then the peripheral nervous system, we've got sensory receptors at the end of the neurons. These are going to help sense temperature, pain, pressure. And then in the middle, we've got little interneurons. And then I love this little mnemonic or way to remember sensory afferent, motor efferent. So SAME, sensory afferent, motor efferent. Sensory is bringing information in, and these are afferent neurons. And then motor is the efferent side, sending information out to do something about the information that came in, to respond to it. All right, quick note on the glial cells. Just make sure you go back and review what each one is, what it does. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because you can kind of read through and review those. glial cells of the peripheral nervous system, same thing. I just want to touch on the Schwann cells. These are going to wrap around the axons, and they are going to help, kind of like the wrapping on a extension cord here. They're going to help the impulse conduct down the axon faster. So that's where those are helpful. And then our white matter is going to be myelinated axons that give it the white appearance. All right, this is that picture from the notes that I showed you. Know this slide backwards and forwards, just like you did with action potential. Go back and review that. And now hopefully the action potential is going to make a little more sense because we're going to put it into better context. So the nerve impulse comes down the axon and innervates with another neuron, and these are going to be communicating. So if you look at this picture here, you've got all of these dendrites. We've got this axon coming down, innervating with another neuron, and here's where the communication happens right here. So let's just walk through these steps. We're going to hit this really hard on Monday. It's when we look at the neuromuscular junction. So it'll be similar to this, just it'll be a neuron, and then instead of another neuron, it'll be the muscle. So this will come into play again. So the action potential comes down and enters the presynaptic terminal. This is presynaptic, meaning pre or before the synapse. Here's the synaptic cleft. And then we have depolarization of the presynaptic terminal, opening ion channels, allowing calcium into the cell. So I had a student last semester who made this cool story, and then also our TA suggested the same thing. Come up with a story that helps you to remember. Her story was really, really cute. It had something about Bishop Cal came in and told I don't remember exactly what her story was, but told the visiting teachers to send dinner across the street, across the synapse. And anyway, find fun little ways to remember, and that will help bring these details to mind. So calcium triggers the release of the neurotransmitter, and these vesicles are going to exocytose, if we could say that, or release the neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft. And this is a chemical synapse, so we're communicating by these little chemicals. And the neurotransmitter is going to come across and it's going to bind with these channels on the postsynaptic, or after the synapse, channel here. And when it does, those channels are going to open. So we're here, neurotransmitter binds to receptor sites on postsynaptic membrane. Opening and closing of ion channels cause change in postsynaptic membrane potential, and this is where we get back to the membrane potential stuff that we talked about in Module 5. So then the action potential is going to propagate down this axon, or down this whatever part of the neuron that it's communicating with, and it's going to travel down to the next cell. So number 7, the neurotransmitter is inactivated or transported back. And there are a couple of different ways this can happen. We're going to look at, with the muscles, acetylcholine that comes across, and then acetylcholinesterase comes in and breaks it down. So anyway, know this process, know it backwards and forwards. Again, this would be a great one to be able to draw out from memory, and then you could go back and see, okay, I didn't know this, let's review this part, and then you would know exactly what you know, what kind of details you need to brush up on. There are a couple of questions on the exam that I think are a little bit interesting, a little entertaining, but you need to know this picture really well so that you can know what happens when something goes wrong. So if acetylcholine is blocked, you won't get a muscle contraction because the channels will never open. Or if acetylcholinesterase is blocked, we'll continue to have contraction because the acetylcholine won't be broken down, and will continue to have ions coming through and that action potential continuing. So you will have to work through some scenarios like that where you have to look at what would happen if this step were if something interfered with this step. A couple of diseases to be familiar with, kind of review: multiple sclerosis, myasthenia gravis, and Charcot-Marie tooth. I think it's named after the doctor who found it, not that it has to do with teeth. And this one, we're just about finished here. So the excitatory postsynaptic potential, or EPSPs, are going to be ones that bring us closer to threshold. Or we can also have inhibitory IPSPs that bring us away from threshold. That's going to be our potassium, chlorine. The EPSPs is going to be sodium, calcium. And let's look real quick at spatial summation and temporal summation. So spatial summation would be like this image here. You can compare this to like Facebook, and you have all these friends sending messages, and the ones closer to the axon hillock, you're going to probably pay more attention. These might be like your siblings or your closer friends. And if we get enough EPSPs, then we can get an action potential. Let's look at temporal summation. Temporal summation would be multiple signals coming down one, coming from one other neuron. So hopefully that helps. And a little funny. I love Farside, and this is Brother Woodfield's PowerPoint. He put these in. I'm a big fan of Farside, so I guess you can think of that as jerks getting on your nerves or whatever. Luckily, there's a lot of great people on the earth, but here, there's a little chuckle for you. Hope you have a great Friday night. Hope you have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll see you on Monday.